Hi there, welcome to your ILM tutorial for Level 3 in Leadership and Management. And this tutorial is specifically looking at the assignment which is called Understanding How to Motivate to Improve Performance. This assignment in terms of word count is between 800 and 1200 words. So as mentioned in the welcome video, please try and stay within this word count and definitely don't go above the 1200 word count limit, although this will prove challenging, so concise all the way. In your white folders you will have got a qualification information pack and some assignment information as well, so make sure that's in front of you as we go through this today. You'll also have received the marking sheet that the tutors use to actually mark your assignments with. So you've got everything you need there in order to be successful with this assignment. So any worries or fears, put them aside and let's get down to work. Hopefully during your workshops you've taken some photographs of the work that you've done on flip charts, and everything in your workbooks will all contribute to this assignment. ILM for this level don't ask for a bibliography, but some referencing is just good practice. So it's a good idea to do it, but you won't be reduced in terms of marking in any way. And ILM actually don't really penalise for punctuation or grammar either. It really is about the work. However, again, as managers, good practice to make sure that everything is spelt correctly and everything that you write actually makes sense. So there's a couple of parts to this assignment, and the first part is understanding the factors that influence motivation levels in the workplace, and the second part is understanding how a theory of motivation can be used to improve performance in the workplace. So a little bit of theory and a little bit of the practical. And you're writing this from first person, so you're writing it about yourself. So my experience is, what I've noticed in the workplace is, I would suggest that, etc. is the way to go with this. Okay, so let's start off with assessment criteria 1.1, which is define the term motivation. What does this actually mean? So we'll have done this in your workshop. We'll have defined it together. You could actually look up a technical definition in the dictionary, or maybe look at a leader such as Blanchard or any of the other theorists that we talked about in the session. So Maslow or David McClelland would also be a good one to actually really help you to really define what motivation means, and great to put a little example in there as well. So that's defining in AC 1.1. 1.2 is describe the factors that may affect motivation levels in the workplace, and we did this as an exercise together in your workshop. So what the assessor is looking for is a range of factors, so at least 3 or 4 factors which could affect motivation in the workplace. So think of all the things that we discussed around environment, relationship with manager, sense of fairness, and all the other things, maybe even according to Maslow's theory, that need to be there in order for people to feel a sense of motivation, or that's his theory anyway. So that range is really good, and I'm sure you'll have taken a photo of that exercise that we completed together as a group. AC 1.3, explain how individual differences affect levels of motivation in the workplace. And again, the assessor is looking for a range of individual differences, and that they're quite different in nature. So what they mean in a range is more than 2, 3 or 4 differences which can affect levels of motivation, individual differences. Okay, so be conscious of what they're asking for. 1.4, explain the potential impact on the organisational performance if motivation levels are low. So what the assessor is looking for is for you to explain how you're linking motivational levels to organisational performance. So you can talk about maybe absence, impacting on goals and targets, impacting on the morale of the team. A good range in there as well. And lots of really nice relevant examples from your own experience are essential there to make sure that you get a good mark for that 1.4. Okay, so that's the first part of the assignment. There's nothing there that you won't have covered in your workshop. Something to point out as well, always look at the language that ILM are using. So they use things like describe and explain. So just do that, describe and explain. Okay, it's really, really simple. Okay, let's move on to learning outcome, or section 2, understanding how theory of motivation can be used to improve performance levels. So 2.1, describe a recognized theory of motivation. In our workshop, we will have talked about Maslow. So you could take Maslow's theory, explain each of the levels, and maybe even talk a little bit about how that's applicable in your organisation or business that you work in. But at this stage, we're just talking about the theory, okay? Maslow's just an example. You could look at McClelland, you could look at nudge theory, you could look, there's a lot of theories, and I'll have given you those in your workbooks. So if you want to do a little bit more research on that, absolutely go for it. AC 2.2, describe the ways in which knowledge of theory of motivation can be used to improve performance in the workplace. It's just so simple to take Maslow. I mean, you can include the actual pyramid that he uses in your the body of your report, and again pull out each of the sections and identify specific ways in whether that's actually happening in your organization and you've seen an impact, or it could be used in your organisation, and what that would mean for the business. You know, okay, we're talking about individuals' performance, but actually what would that mean on an organisational level as well? And good variety of suggestions in there. So we'll have done this as part of our workshop. So hopefully you've taken a little photo of the flip charts as suggested. And then the final bit is AC 2.3. Explain how to use employee engagement to increase motivation levels. So we would have done a lovely exercise on identifying 5 different engagement approaches in your organisation, and we may have added a few to those as well. So consider those and consider that piece of work. But what they're looking for is a thorough explanation as to how to use employee engagement to increase motivation levels. And again, they want to see examples. ILM want to see examples. So you could write something like, in my organisation, we use employee engagement surveys to really hear what our people are saying, to listen to what our people are saying. And an action coming out of that has been to, I don't know, it could be something very basic like change our seating arrangements to make our workplace more practical. And this has resulted in higher levels of engagement, discussion, and ultimately performance, and our customers can see that in some shape or form. That's just a clumsy example, but an example nonetheless. And that is the bulk of that assignment. Keep it concise, relevant examples. At the very start of the assignment, you may just want to put in something there about your organisation and your role in it, and that won't be included in the word count, but just to give a little bit of context to the ILM assessor, because they'll be reading this completely cold. Look at some of the marking structure there as well, and that'll give you an idea of where to spend your time really. But always remember, when they ask you to describe something, describe it, explain, etc., etc. A great idea now to go on to the ILM website and look, have a browse through that and just check if there's anything on that might be useful. They have a glossary of terms there, which I've included in your packs actually, which you may want to have a look at. Crack on with that assignment. Good luck. Do a first draft and even get the bones of it together, and feel free to send that to the facilitators, including myself, for your first draft review, and good luck.